let's be honest. When a woman pulls back, goes quiet, or suddenly creates distance, your mind rushes to the same conclusion it always does. She's losing interest. She's talking to someone else. She's preparing to disappear. That fear crawls into your chest, tightens your throat, and makes you replay every message, every look, every moment you might have messed up. But there's a truth most men are never taught, a truth women rarely say out loud, and it changes everything. Sometimes the distance you feel isn't rejection, sometimes it's restraint, sometimes it's fear, and sometimes it's because she feels more than she knows how to handle. A woman who doesn't care doesn't struggle, she doesn't hesitate, she doesn't overthink. Indifference is easy, it's clean, it's quiet, but when she cares deeply, when you get under her skin in a way that feels dangerous, her nervous system reacts. She becomes aware of what you could take from her if things go wrong, her time, her pride, her emotional safety. So instead of running toward you, she slows herself down. Not to punish you, but to protect herself. You were taught that attraction looks loud. Constant texting, obvious excitement, chasing energy, but that's a shallow version of desire. Deep attachment often shows up as internal conflict. She wants you, but she's afraid of wanting you. She thinks about you, but she doesn't want you to know how much. She pulls back not because you failed, but because you succeeded in touching something real. Here's the uncomfortable part most men miss. When a woman senses that you matter, she starts measuring herself around you. She notices how much power your presence has over her mood. She catches herself waiting for your name to light up her phone. And that scares her. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because losing control terrifies her. So she creates space to regain balance, to see if she can breathe without you, to check if her feelings calm down or grow louder in the silence. This is where most men sabotage everything. They chase, they explain, they demand reassurance, they try to close the distance by force, and the moment they do, they confirm her fear that emotions equal pressure. The irony is brutal. The more she feels for you, the more she needs emotional safety. And safety doesn't come from intensity. It comes from calm. A woman who is avoiding you because she doesn't care feels light. A woman who is pulling back because she cares feels heavy. You can sense it if you're honest. There's tension in her voice. There's meaning in her silence. There's a pause where something wants to be said but isn't. That pause is not emptiness, it's restraint. When you understand this, you stop panicking. You stop chasing ghosts. You stop turning a moment of emotional gravity into a reason to self-destruct. Because real connection doesn't always rush forward. Sometimes it steps back, holds its breath, and asks a quiet question. Is this safe? Is this real? Is this worth the risk? Most men are taught to read female behavior on the surface, not underneath it. If she texts less, it must mean she's losing interest. If she takes longer to reply, she must be playing games. If she suddenly seems distant, she must be preparing to leave. That shallow lens destroys more genuine connections than rejection ever could. Because what you're seeing isn't strategy, it's self-regulation. When a woman feels herself falling emotionally, her instincts don't scream, attach. They whisper, slow down. Her mind starts running scenarios you never hear about. What if I invest and he changes? What if I get attached and he pulls away? What if I lose myself trying to keep him? These thoughts don't come from drama. They come from experience. And the deeper her feelings, the louder those thoughts become. Here's a truth that feels unfair until you understand it. A woman who cares lightly will move freely. A woman who cares deeply becomes careful. She watches her words. She edits her reactions. She holds back affection she actually wants to give. Not because she's manipulative, but because she's trying not to scare herself with how much you matter. That's why her distance often comes with mixed signals. She may still check in. She may still respond warmly. She may still remember details about you that someone not interested wouldn't. But there's hesitation layered on top. A delay, a pause, a subtle emotional break. That's not avoidance. That's containment. She's trying to keep her feelings from spilling over too fast. Men often assume confidence in women means emotional fearlessness. It doesn't. Confidence means awareness, and awareness makes vulnerability feel risky. When she realizes you affect her emotions, her confidence doesn't disappear. It turns inward. She becomes more guarded, not less. She wants to see if you're steady, if you can exist without demanding access to every thought and feeling she has. This is where masculine presence matters more than masculine action. You don't win here by talking more. You don't win by explaining yourself. You don't win by asking her where you stand. You win by showing her, through your calm, that closeness doesn't equal chaos, that interest doesn't equal pressure, that connection doesn't equal loss of control. A woman who loves too much too fast feels like she's standing near a cliff, not because you pushed her there, but because she walked there on her own. She steps back to regain footing, to remind herself she can still stand alone, and she's watching how you react to that step back. Do you panic? Do you demand? Do you collapse emotionally? Or do you remain grounded? Her distance is a test she didn't consciously design. It's an emotional scan. Are you safe to get closer to, or do you need to be managed? A man who needs reassurance every time she regulates herself becomes another responsibility. A man who stays solid becomes an anchor. If you feel her pull back and the connection still feels charged, still alive, still unresolved, that's not indifference. That's tension. And tension only exists where there's emotional weight. The mistake is trying to resolve it too quickly. Some bonds deepen, not through constant contact, but through respectful space that allows desire and trust to grow without force. There's a subtle danger in interpreting female behavior only by what she does, rather than what she feels. You notice she's quiet, she's distant, she's hesitant, but you miss the trembling intensity underneath it all. When a woman loves too much, when she's emotionally invested beyond comfort, her actions often seem confusing or contradictory. She may pull away one moment, then lean in the next. She may question you, challenge you, even test your patience. And if you don't understand why, it can feel like a trap, like you're failing without knowing the rules. Here's the secret. She's not pushing you away because of you. She's pushing herself back because of her feelings. She's trying to manage a storm she can't control. Her heart races when you're near. Her mind replays every interaction. And her nervous system is constantly calculating, how much can I risk? The stronger the attraction, the more intense the internal conflict. You may mistake it for drama or games, but it's really fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of disappointment, fear of being so consumed by someone that she loses herself. When a woman loves too much, everything in her body is screaming for closeness, and everything in her mind is whispering caution. She wants to text you constantly, but fears coming off as desperate. She wants to show affection, but worries she'll scare you. She wants to be yours fully, but hesitates because being fully yours means surrendering control. And surrender is terrifying. Not because she doesn't trust you, but because she doesn't trust her own ability to handle what she feels. This is where men go wrong. They misread intensity as instability and distance as rejection. They think they need to fix it, when the truth is there's nothing to fix. What she needs is patience, consistency, and emotional steadiness. She's not looking for you to chase her. She's looking for you to exist in a way that proves closeness is safe, that desire can coexist with calm, and that intimacy doesn't demand panic or drama. Notice how she sometimes tests you. A sudden pullback. A question that seems unnecessary. A slight challenge to your confidence. These aren't tricks. They are her system checking the waters. Is this man someone I can allow myself to feel too much with? Can he handle me when I show my full intensity? Can he exist without destabilizing me? The answer she observes in your reaction tells her whether she can come closer or if she must hold back. Here's the thing most men never realize. She's measuring not only your actions, but your presence. Calm presence is more magnetic than any words. It signals security without needing explanation. It says, I can be here with you, even at full intensity, and it won't break me or you. And when you embody that, she begins to relax. Not because she stops loving too much, but because she realizes her feelings don't have to feel dangerous anymore. The paradox is simple but brutal. The more she loves, the more she needs space. and the more space you give, the more love she can safely experience. Trying to force it collapses the tension. Stepping back with strength allows it to deepen. And that's the kind of love she'll never forget. The love that grows quietly in the gaps rather than exploding in chaos. If you're following this, think for a moment. How much of her distance is about her feelings, and how much of your reaction is about your fears? Keep that in mind as we continue. Most men never stop to consider the weight of a woman's emotional intensity. They see behaviors, she cancels plans, she doesn't text as much, she seems distant, and immediately assume loss. But the truth is far more complicated. When a woman loves too much, her mind becomes a battlefield. She's balancing desire against fear, affection against self-preservation, longing against logic, and that internal tug-of-war is often invisible to the man she cares about. She feels torn because every instinct in her body is pulling toward you, while every protective mechanism whispers caution. You see inconsistency. She feels survival. Every word she doesn't say, every pause she takes, every hesitation in her tone is a signal, not of rejection, but of her trying to navigate something she cannot control. When she loves deeply, every interaction with you becomes amplified. Her heart races over text messages. Her thoughts spiral over tiny gestures. Her emotions fluctuate like tides she can't govern. Here's the hard truth. She doesn't want to confuse you, but she can't help it. Love that runs this deep is rarely neat. It doesn't follow scripts. It doesn't operate under rules you can memorize. That intensity makes her cautious, reserved, sometimes even aloof, not because she's withdrawing from you, but because she's trying to protect the very thing she feels so intensely, herself. Every pullback is her attempting to regulate what she feels so it doesn't consume her entirely. Men often misinterpret this as lack of interest and respond with impatience or insecurity. They demand explanations. They push for clarity. They panic. But here's the irony. The more she cares, the more she observes your emotional stability. She wants to see if your calm can hold her storm. She's testing whether your presence can contain her intensity or if it will explode it. Your reaction becomes the proof she needs to decide whether she can safely lean in or must hold herself back. You've likely noticed subtle cues that suggest she's invested more than she's showing. She remembers tiny details. She listens even when it's inconvenient. She checks on your well-being without being asked. She shares moments of vulnerability in small doses. These aren't casual behaviors. They're signs that her heart is fully engaged, even when her body or words seem hesitant. Her affection is calculated not to hide her feelings, but to protect herself from the fear of being overwhelmed by them. Understand this: when a woman loves too much, she is often her own hardest critic. She battles guilt for feeling so strongly. She fights against her longing. She questions her sanity when the pull towards you feels irresistible. That struggle is invisible, but it's real. And every step back she takes is not an end, but a recalibration, an effort to find equilibrium so she can continue loving without losing herself entirely. So the next time you notice her hesitating, stepping back, or creating distance, pause. Don't panic. Don't demand clarity. Recognize that what looks like avoidance is often an expression of emotional magnitude. Her love is too large to contain casually, and your steadiness is the only way for her to safely experience it. Think about this now. Can you exist as an anchor without suffocating her intensity? That question matters more than any word she says or doesn't say. Most men chase signals, trying to decode what a woman does, but rarely do they stop to consider what she feels. Actions are often misleading. Emotions are raw and revealing. When a woman loves too much, her heart and her mind start sending conflicting messages. She wants closeness, but fears losing herself in it. She wants to reach for you, yet hesitates to avoid overwhelming herself. That hesitation, that pause, that brief retreat, it's not rejection. It's an unspoken declaration of how much she truly cares. When she steps back, it's often because she's evaluating the environment she's entering emotionally. Love isn't safe if it consumes her completely. She's asking herself, can I trust him to stay grounded? Can he handle the depth of what I feel without judgment? Can I allow myself to be entirely seen without fearing abandonment? These are not games. These are the calculations of a mind trying to protect her heart while still giving it away. Notice how her intensity often comes through in small, subtle ways. She may send a message hours later with a thought she couldn't express in real time. She may recall moments from months ago, revealing she's been holding on to every detail. She may show concern in gestures, in tone, in the way she remembers your routines or moods. These are signs of investment far beyond casual affection. A woman who doesn't care doesn't go this deep. She doesn't notice. She doesn't reflect. She doesn't hold space for you in her mind. Here's the mistake most men make. They interpret the absence of overt pursuit as disinterest and respond with chase or pressure. That's exactly the opposite of what she needs. Her emotional intensity requires safety, consistency, and calm, not urgency or explanation. When you remain steady, when you exist as a reliable presence without demanding immediate reciprocation, she starts to feel what she's always wanted, a partner she can love without fear of losing herself. Another key point, her love is loud in its subtlety. It's in the quiet moments, in the tiny sacrifices she makes, in the emotional energy she dedicates when you're not even looking. When a woman is overwhelmed by how much she loves, she sometimes creates distance to see if the bond can survive her intensity. If it does, she leans in deeper. If it doesn't, she protects herself. The pull and release dynamic isn't manipulation, it's survival of the heart. Men often misread the intensity of silence. They feel ignored, unimportant, or undervalued, when in reality, every pause and pull is a test of emotional resilience, yours and hers. If you respond with steadiness, if you understand her restraint as a sign of depth rather than rejection, you become the rare man capable of holding the weight of her feelings without breaking under them. That's the difference between connection that fades and connection that lasts. So reflect on this. Every moment she steps back is an invitation, not a withdrawal. She's showing you how much you matter without saying it outright. And your ability to recognize, respect, and meet her intensity with calm strength will determine whether that love grows quietly or slips away under pressure. Now ask yourself, are you steady enough to hold her intensity without running? Leave your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this. The final truth most men never grasp is this. When a woman loves too much, she isn't avoiding you. She's protecting herself from the intensity of her own emotions. That love is powerful, chaotic, and sometimes terrifying. She may seem distant at times, but that distance isn't absence. It's a safety mechanism. She's learning how to feel fully without losing herself. And the man who understands this doesn't chase. He observes, he remains steady, and he allows her space to navigate her own heart. Think about it. Every time she pulls back, she's testing the environment she's in. Can she be vulnerable with you and not regret it? Can she show desire without feeling exposed? Can she care too much without being overwhelmed? Her restraint is a reflection of how deeply she feels. It's not hesitation about you, it's caution about the magnitude of what you represent. A man who misreads this will panic, pressure, or withdraw, confirming every fear she's trying to manage. A man who remains composed becomes a rare anchor in a storm of emotion. Here's a crucial insight most men never learn. Love isn't always about pursuit. It's often about presence. It's about proving, without words, that closeness doesn't destroy, that intensity doesn't overwhelm, that feelings can exist safely. Your calm, your patience, your ability to maintain your own emotional gravity is more attractive than any display of affection or chase. She feels it, she responds to it, and in time, her restraint transforms into trust. Her caution transforms into full engagement. Observe the signs carefully. When she sends subtle gestures of care, when she remembers small details, when she looks for ways to connect without forcing herself, these are proof of her emotional investment. They're quiet, almost hidden, because her love is too strong to wear on her sleeve. She's testing the waters, but her heart is already deeply in. Every pause, every small withdrawal, every hesitant step back is a mirror reflecting how much she truly feels. If you want to be the man who receives this kind of love, you must resist the instinct to chase or explain. You must hold space for her without suffocating her. You must show her that her feelings are safe, that desire doesn't demand control, and that connection can exist without pressure. That's when a woman who loves too much will finally allow herself to lean in completely. And when she does, it's unlike anything you've ever experienced. So here's the question for you, and I want you to think about it deeply. If her intensity is a reflection of how much she cares, how much of your presence reflects your ability to hold her heart without breaking it? Drop your answer in the comments. Like this video if this made sense, subscribe for more truths you weren't supposed to know, and share this with a friend who needs to hear why her distance doesn't mean disinterest. It might mean she loves too much. This is the kind of insight that changes how you understand women forever. Don't forget it.